Hey guys, on today's podcast, we go over UFC 227. We also talk a bit about the 25th anniversary press conference the UFC had.
They're here.
Welcome to the Hook J Podcast.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
When it's all said and done, I know one thing that I can do. I can fight. I can give it, and I can take it.
You should have left me over on that other game that I'm from, that more ruthless game where we bounce heads off the canvas and drill them into the floor. You should have left me where I was.
The show starts now.
Welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Jake, the current champ out of our MMA bet. The belt changed hands last night. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
This is the loser, my brother, Justin.
After
Former-
a year
former
of defending,
champion.
After a year
Former
defending,
champion. I gotta say,
finally
former champion. The Blue Dingo, Justin. That's how I'm going to refer to you from now on.
The Blue Dingo.
The Blue Dingo, Justin. So,
Well, much like Demetrius, I'll accept that defeat very humbly.
humbly accept it. So Saturday,
He's a good fighter, and we'll see what happens going forward, guys.
I like how he energetically like he did. We wasn't bummed about it at all. We'll get into that
What
here
were
in a
you
minute.
bummed about?
Well,
he defended 15 times.
He lost it. You know, it was his second loss in the career.
He's like
of
shell shocked. He
UFC.
still hasn't realized what happened yet.
But
He hasn't quite come
we'll
home
get
from the
into that. Last Saturday was UFC 227, and it was a pretty good card. I gotta say, I liked it. A lot of entertaining fights from, I would say the Fight Pass prelims were all right. They weren't that bad. Didn't really watch most of them.
Caught the highlights on that one. Got there a little late.
But basically from like the third fight in, all the way up to the main card, it got really good. You know, unfortunately, I didn't catch the first two fights in the main, or not the prelim. The prelims, I didn't catch the first two fights, but I did catch from Jackson on. You were there for the first two fights. Anything special
Somebody
happen?
got stuck in that famous Dallas traffic, so.
Yeah.
So the first fight was I'm gonna butcher these names. It's Mariah and Salas, I don't know. Both of these guys going in just kind of looked even, like they were evenly matched, in my opinion. They swung and they dished at the same time. The only thing I think was they both had good clinch work. There was an issue. They both ended up like eye poking each other at different points, so it was like back and forth. It was just funny because like one guy did it, and then half a round later the other guy did it. I was like, all right, so we're giving receipts.
Serve returned.
Yeah, we're giving receipts, huh?
I did notice going into this card that I think Salas is the one from the Contender Series. Like I think he did the Contender Series before that, and I know was it Holland? Kevin Holland. He was from the Contender Series.
Yeah, from
I think
later
there
on in the
was.
card.
I think a lot of the lower ones they're trying to build on a lot of people.
Well, I think they use a Contender Series,
And-
in my opinion, to fill out cards when other guys don't want to sign.
I think I have a feeling that's what they're going to continue to do, is take people like because it's their UFC debut. Let's fill them in with people there, and they have a little bit of a background in the UFC now. I did notice that recently. That's what they're gonna. I believe that's what they're gonna do with it going forward.
Yeah, that's what it feels like at least.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much these guys were even all the way around. They'd go in, one guy would land 2 or 3, and the other guy would land 2 or 3, and they'd kick, and this guy would kick. It was back and forth the whole way. So Moraes ended up winning by unanimous decision. But kind of thinking about it, I think the only reason he won is just because he outworked his opponent, and he was a little bit more accurate. So I think he just had more strike percentage landed in. For a fight that's back and forth, I mean, I guess he just impressed the judges more. I didn't see anything stand out from these guys just yet, but let's hope going forward they push their names a little bit harder or get an opponent they completely friggin' obliterate in front of somebody and really make themselves pop.
It'll happen eventually. You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. Everybody starts somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a podcast, for example.
And yep.
So, the fight after that was Ramos. And man, this guy had a crazy name. So
Let's just go with Kang. Ho Kang. That's his last two.
yeah, it was Ricardo Ramos and Kang. I'm just gonna call him Kang because that's what that's what it sounds like. I mean, who knows what these crazy pronunciations, but
I would go with Ho Kang. You gotta go.
Ho Kang.
You go with the middle name and the last name because it just sounds better than Kang. Kang sounds like you're a character in a martial arts film.
Maybe he is.
Maybe, yeah, that would explain it. You know, like was it Never Back Down 7 or Kickboxer 14? What the fuck it is?
Whatever the B-rate movies at these days.
Whatever Scott Adkins is playing in.
Scott. All right. So, from what I was looking at, Ramos, he did a good job mixing in kicks in the middle of his combo. So it'd be like 1-2 kick, and he'd kick to start the next one, and then he'd finish with the kick, or then he'd throw it in the middle somewhere. So he was doing a good job, really mixing those in and being really effective at range. And the combinations he was throwing were just really effective opening up. But Kang, yeah, Ho Kang. There we go, Ho Kang. He was sticking to his jab a lot, and it was working for him for a while, but he started to lose it. They both had a takedown. I think the takedown in the second is kind of what ended up for Ramos. And then when they came out in the third, it was there was another takedown, but there was a really good one. There was a nice like leg sweep. Dude caught his leg. Ho Kang caught a leg kick, but just kicked the other guy's Ramos' legs out from underneath him. So it just looked like one of those like classic movie grapples where the guy just like one-handed push somebody over kind of crap. But it was really funny to see. But they go to the floor after that, and he blocked a potential guillotine that was sunk in. Ramos in the third round though really looked like he was gassed out. I think he gave everything he could in the first two trying to take him out, but he really didn't do much in the third. So either he was gassed, in my opinion, or maybe he thought he had already won it. But
It's
Ramos,
possible.
yeah, I mean Ramos did end up winning by split decision because these guys were kind of back and forth through everything. Nothing really stand out from either one of them at that point. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to look for them in the future just yet, till they move up a little bit.
A lot of these fights on the undercard, the first three, really didn't stick out too much on it. They were fairly decent fights to watch. Everybody on there really had a lot of work. Like you can tell they're working towards something. They didn't have it all put together quite just yet, but I think the first three fights really weren't much to talk about. Didn't have a ton of highlights from there. However, the last fight on the main card, or the prelim card,
There's one before that, and just kind of where you showed up was Jackson versus Simon. So Simon was doing the green shorts that was just all over Jackson.
yeah, Simon was really relentless in pursuing him the entire time.
His wrestling was no joke, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he wrestled the hell out of him for three
whole
rounds.
15 minutes, man.
Just kept on him, kept taking him down. I wish I had the statistics to pull up there, but that's one of those things that I can tell you, like even from the beginning of the second round, that like if Simon would have kept that up, he would have won. It's pretty unanimous in my book exactly what happened.
Yeah. I mean, Jackson, when they first started out in the first round, you could obviously tell who was... Because I've seen Roy Simon fight before, and I knew he was a wrestler, more of a grapple-based guy. Jackson, I didn't know anything about. Everything that Simon threw at him, he was slipping. He was really defensive. It looks like he was more of a counter puncher. He was putting together some really solid strikes. Some of them really, really hit. They hit solid, but he just had no answers for the ground game. And it was really good to see somebody who is a stand-up artist go against somebody like that, because now they know, and they know where they need to develop at. But Roy Simon, I think he needs to develop his stand-up game. But he really put the wrestling on him, and he was just all over him. He had some really, really good wrist control. And
Yeah, every time he would take him down, he that was one thing I noticed is when he would grab him, Riggy would take him down, push him to the fence, or get him close enough to the edge as he could, and then grab Jackson's wrist, make sure it was pinned down, make sure he was controlling it most of the time, and that really made the difference, and it really showed I wouldn't say the lack of ground game, as everyone is on different levels,
right.
but I would say it showed it showed that Ricky knew what he was doing when he took him down.
Was it Ricky?
Yeah, it's Ricky.
Okay. Man,
Yeah, I was
messed
like,
up his name a second ago.
It's fine. He said it like 3 times.
You still didn't correct me? All right.
Well, I did with mine. I corrected it.
Yeah, Ricky Simon, he was just all over him, and they both had some really good cage work actually against each other. Ricky holding him against the cage, and even Jackson getting out of it because he was physically a lot stronger.
Yeah, he did.
He just easily got up whenever he got put down. He just had to get an opportunity to do it. Like, he had no problems moving around. It's just he's just inexperienced, it looks like, in the clinch and in the wrestling aspect altogether.
It reminded me a lot of the Stipe Ngannou fight,
Oh, man.
where not necessarily that Ricky was just outclassing him, but he just had a way better strategy, you know. And like Stipe, when he fought Ngannou, he definitely had a way better strategy than anybody who fought him at that point, and he knew exactly what to exploit. And it seemed like Jackson, he was expecting a stand-up fight, whereas Simon was like, "I'm gonna take you down. I'm gonna."
Well, if he knew who he was going against, he probably didn't expect to stand up. He probably just wanted to keep it there.
That's what I mean. Like he wanted to keep it standing. He wanted to just maybe not stand in the pocket and just swing, but he definitely wanted to keep it up. You can tell even when he went to the ground, you can see on his face he was like, again, like I don't want to be here. And that was one of those things that it was prevalent through that whole fight. Jackson wanted to stand up. Ricky did not want him to stand up and just kept taking him down. And it was pretty obvious from probably the middle of the second round, halfway through the fight forward, who was going to win, in my opinion, because it was like Ricky was controlling him the whole time. He wasn't really. Jackson got off a few shots here and there, but
There were some solid shots, though. So
yeah,
I think if he goes up against somebody who could stand up and bang, then he's going to do a lot better. But
yeah, it would be interesting. See what their bantamweight. So it would. He has potential, I would say. You know, he's got. I don't think he can go too far, just being one dimensional like that.
no fighter can.
But he definitely
Unless
can
you're
get up
Khabib.
there. Well, yeah, Khabib. He's
It's a
got
whole different monster.
fucking yeah. That's another game. You know.
That's an elite of one class.
Oh yeah, that's a completely different game to do anything with. You know. After that was the third fight. The last fight on the prelim was absolutely incredible to watch.
Oh yeah, it was a good way to end the prelims and lead into the main card. It was just spectacular.
Pedro
Spectacular beating.
Munoz fought Brett Johns. Brett Johns?
Yeah.
And they beat the living hell out of each other
So I'll say this though.
till the decision. And I that was, if you watch that fight after the first round, you're like, how the hell did it go to decision?
Well, first round, in general, no matter what, if Munoz threw a punch and Johns ate it, then Johns threw a punch and Munoz ate it. So these guys in the first round just beat the hell out of each other equally. So if I could have done it, I would have done like you guys both got a 9-9. All right, there's no other way to do it.
The whole name of this fight was kicks. First round was leg kicks. I think the second round he landed a head kick.
Yep.
And the third round was one of the body that really fucked up.
Well, no, he dropped him with a body kick in the second.
Yeah, it was the second,
Yeah.
and then he landed the head kick. I think it was the
And
third.
that was
then.
in the third, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Munoz did a very good job with the leg kicks.
The head kick was it later in the second.
Okay.
Yeah, that was later in the second too. I think it might have been really close to the third because they ended up on the ground.
Okay. During the first round, for sure, Pedro just let him have it with the leg kicks to the point to where you can see, like, he would switch stance to get the weight off his feet, and then Pedro would drill him again. Bam. And then eventually...
Calf kicks, man. No joke, dude.
At
Those
the
low
end
kicks.
of the first round, they were on the ground because Johns was having trouble standing. It was good. I think it was like 3-4 leg kicks before his legs kind of started to give out on him, and that's a lot of power to be generated just with a few leg kicks thrown in there. And
he's a shorter, stockier dude too.
Yeah, he has that. He's a wrestler body. You know, he's got the shorter, stockier, a lot of power up top and a lot of power on the thighs. You know, from lifting people and moving that much weight around, and it really showed with the leg kicks. Like Tyrone Woodley, you know, he's got fucking tree trunks for thighs.
Yeah.
And there's only been a few fights where he's used them. But I think it was the Koscheck fight. He threw a couple leg kicks, and I was like, damn, like that's reminiscent of like an Aldo kick. You know, that much power. You know, maybe not as much technique, but a lot of power with it. And that reminded me a lot of Pedro, where like if he can put together a lot of things, then he can definitely go far in the bantamweight.
One thing I do like though, man, this fight right here, John's. I think he was on a 3 or 4 fight win streak because I saw him last and he was doing pretty good. Beat the hell out of his last opponent, but in this one, he got dropped by a body shot. Now, I love when somebody gets chin checked and the lights go out and they're staggering around, but to watch somebody get hit in the liver or in the ribs and you don't know what just happened and they just crouch over because they're in brutal agony and then they get pounced on. But John's, he got hit, he took it, and as soon as he winced over, he realized what the mistake he made. He took the beating from Munoz afterwards while they're on the ground while he's in pain. So the guy just, you know it hurts. You know it hurts so bad. And he's just down there trying to fight him off. And he's not doing like turtled up, like trying to just keep my head blocked for a minute while I figure a way out. No, he's on his back. He's on his back in guard trying to fight this dude off while his pain, all this pain's shooting through him. And then it happens again. It happens again in the third round. But before that, he gets freaking chin checked. And that wobbles him a little. And his feet get out from underneath him again. It's like this guy had the most amazing tenacity to stay in it and keep the fight going.
John's had one hell of a fight.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
It showed quite a bit as far as what he can take and how far he can take it. Honestly, I think we all thought at the end of the second round that there's no way that this is going into decision. But John's made it all the way there, which I give him complete, ups for. Like, I don't know how you made it that far, homie, but
and then
good for you.
The pictures of him afterwards, like,
oh.
As of today, good Lord, dude. Take a bottle of migraine pills a day, man.
He posted a picture the day afterwards on Twitter. Literally, like right after the fight, I was like, you made a fan out of me, and I followed him on Twitter. So definitely check him out if you got it. I would pull up his thing, but I don't have it. But he posted a picture of him and Munoz posing. They don't really actually hate each other.
Yeah, they're just fighting.
And he looked like he got stung by a bunch of wasps. Like his face was all swollen. And he posted a picture. I think it was a picture of his knee or his calf, and it looked exactly the same. It looked like he ate like some shellfish, and like his fucking legs are all swollen. Like it was bad, but it was pretty interesting to watch that one, and I definitely watch him in the future. Especially if he's gonna keep putting that out.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna be somebody I watch just because the amount of heart. You can't win a fight on heart, but you can win fans, and you won a fan. You got me, so I'm gonna be watching all those fights. Anytime I see his name come up, the dude took so many hard shots. I was just expecting that second body shot that dropped him for him to just tap and take him to the hospital. His liver ruptured or something, but
yeah,
because it was so bad. It was 2 of them.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Successfully in the same spot.
It's very rarely that someone takes a shot to the body and keeps going. I think the only person I've seen do that was Jason DeLuca when he fought Boss Rudin. And Boss drilled him 3 times. And the second one, I thought he was going to get up with it because, Boss has that liver shot that, is the legendary El Guapo liver shot. And he hit him the 3rd time. And the 3rd time apparently broke his fucking liver in half. And I don't see how you get up after the 2nd time, because the 2nd time he was doubled over in pain. So good on for Johns for getting back up after the 2nd one, Definitely, I'll watch him in the future. And I'll watch Pedro in the future. Pedro, he's a fairly good wrestler, and I think he can.
Well, he didn't have to wrestle him this time, dude. He beat the hell out of him.
He can do a lot of things,
Yeah, so that would wrap up the on Fox card before we roll over into the pay-per-view. So at the pay-per-view, we started out with Thiago, the Thor guy,
The Thor
Jacob
guy.
calls him Santos,
The Thor guy, Santos.
versus Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland was another Contender Series guy.
Fighting out of Fort Worth, I believe. I saw.
He was from Fort Worth.
Which is
I think he
hometown
trains
club.
with James Vick. They seem to be buddies on Twitter, so I imagine they know each other in real life.
Yeah, I mean, they're both from the area.
I think they both fight out of the same gym. I'm not sure. I haven't did enough investigative journalism.
Who
I
we
imagine
hire
I
you
could
for?
probably just go on Twitter and be like, hey.
Well, why did we hire you?
But Kevin Holland's another Contender Series guy, and I didn't watch his fight in the Contender Series, but I heard a lot about it.
I plan on watching him after this one, though.
And he was, even though he lost the fight, he lost in the decision. It went all the way. Was very entertaining to watch.
If nothing else, if he just went out there and just took all the shots and kept doing what he was doing, he would just be nothing other than entertaining to watch because he was talking so much shit the whole time.
He did a lot of shit talking the entire time.
Now we don't know what he said because it's in the ring and it's to his opponent, and the crowd is just loud as hell. But
I thought it was impressive that during the fight he pulls guard, and I think he went for an arm triangle.
Yep.
And when he did that, like the entire time he was talking shit to Thor, and after like they rolled for a bit, it was very good rolling, jiu-jitsu wise.
yeah,
The one guy would roll, the other guy would pop out and do it again and again and again and again for all 3 rounds. But it was very just entertaining to see this guy go in there and just, it's a fight, so they got to give everything they have. But it was entertaining to see him go from different positions to different positions. And the entire time, I would wish I had a mic close enough to hear what they were saying. Because I could tell you he was talking shit. He was smiling. They were, at one point, Thiago was just raining down lefts and rights because he got...
he got in top mount.
yeah, no, he didn't.
No, he got in top mount because he just started ground and pound, and then he stood up and was waiting for Kevin. Yeah, because he pounced on him and everything. He was moving his waist so much.
He wasn't
back and forth.
he wasn't in top mount. He was in his guard. That's what it was. He was in full guard.
Now, whenever he was ground and pounding.
No, it was at the very beginning. After he pulled guard, he went to the
Okay,
ground,
all right.
and he had him in his guard. He was in full guard, and Thiago was just throwing lefts and rights down on him. And Holland was taking a couple of them, but he was slipping a few of them. And then afterwards, you can see him smiling and talking shit. And that's something that a lot of fighters, they don't talk shit while they're fighting you. They'll talk shit at the press conference. They'll talk shit while they're waiting for the thing to go, but they won't talk shit while they're fighting you.
Yeah.
You know? And it was entertaining to watch. If you want to watch one, definitely watch that one.
Yeah. For Thiago though, he was pretty much in control. You could tell he had more ring experience, and he was staying controlled himself through the whole thing. Like his ground and pound and his elbows, his top game were just like the name of the game for him. So he held on to it. Every time they went to the ground, man, he just kept pumping, kept hitting, kept doing everything he could, kept working. And eventually, he gets the unanimous decision over it. But Holland, I will definitely watch from here on every time I see his name, just because I want to see what kind of stuff he's going to do. Because one, you don't see many people pull a guard, especially off your first little excursion in there. You go in there, you throw a few, you open up with some kicks, and then you get clinched up. You're like, oh, you know what? Let me pull guard on an armbar
Yeah.
or a triangle. So
I think...
I'm definitely going to watch. I think this guy's got a lot coming from him.
Definitely, Santos showed where experience helps in the fight, especially with your UFC debut, because I think Holland took this on 10 days, which is very impressive on his part to go to decision with a guy who I think is like number 15.
Yeah, he's in the hunt for the top 10 right now.
Yeah, and to go to decision with a guy in number 15 is pretty impressive on a 10 days notice, especially when you only have one fight in the UFC, which was a Contender Series fight. So that's definitely Holland's the guy you want to watch out for in the future. And Santos, I think he's still pretty good, as he's doing right now. Every time I see him on a card, I like watching him. He's a pretty impressive fighter.
I mean, he drops some brutal hammers too, man. Whenever he throws that
That's why
punch,
he's got the tattoo on his chest.
well, man, I don't know what he's got in his hand, but I swear to God, it's packed with dynamite. Because sometimes he hits people in their heads.
It's made out of star material.
Yeah, no, I get it.
That's why he's got the hammer
We're
on.
all Stardust, buddy. We're all Stardust. But he puts people to sleep very easily and at will very easily. So for Kevin Holland to go in there and take all those shots and dodge a whole bunch of them from that positioning, it was really great. And yeah, you won me over. So I got 2 people I'm definitely gonna watch going forward off just those fights alone. The fight after that, the ladies, was I It wasn't really all that action packed for me. It was J.J. Aldrich and Polyana Vienna, I think that's how
I think it's
it's
Vienna.
There wasn't a whole lot of action going on in this one. There were just Aldrich. She had some good knees in a clinch. Like she landed some hard ones. Most of the time when they clinch, though, they just kind of walk each other around. And
Aldrich outworked her in the clinch. Did he go to the ground at any point? I don't remember going to the ground.
I believe so. Yeah, because Polyana pulled guard.
Yeah, but
she did attempt the armbar, so not from the clinch.
I don't remember going to the ground.
Yeah.
But I remember most of it was
because there was 2 back-to-back fights that pulled guard. It was
yeah.
like, okay, yeah, sweet.
Aldridge, she, in my opinion, she won it because she was able to control the clinch a lot better, and she took great. She had way better accuracy and timing when it came to returning shots.
Yeah, she was just a lot more accurate. She was a lot more on the button.
That's definitely something that because Viana said that right.
Polyana Vienna.
Yeah, that sounds like it rhymes. Let's go with that. Viana, she definitely, it looked like she was looking like loading up on that right. She was looking for that right quite a bit.
Yeah.
And every time she'd throw it, most time Aldridge would just drill her, bam, bam, and then she basically just stick and move.
Counterpunched her. She counterpunched her that.
And she won, and to me, in my opinion, she definitely, like, you can't argue that. Like, she won the fight.
Yeah, she outstruck her. She counterpunched everything Vienna threw at her. So she'd eat some of the little jabs and the little hooks, but she was just hitting Aldrich a lot harder too. So good things for Vienna though. She did have some strong clinch control. She pretty much walked whenever JJ grabbed her. She kind of walked her halfway down the cage. I think 2 whole runs of that octagon, and then spun her around and kind of walked her back. I was like, okay.
Yeah, she had very good clinch control, but
that attempted armbar was pretty impressive.
Aldridge had a lot better, took advantage of it. Like she had better defense than I think Viana thought she would have in the clinch, and definitely took advantage of it. The strawweight division is really not that strong right now. They have some great fighters. Probably look for them. Like if they're on a card, I'll watch it. Going forward, but I'm not like seeking out. Like when's the next Aldridge fight. But definitely, there's ones that I think Aldridge, she could be something, if she keeps going. She's a training partner with Rose, actually, because Pat Barry is her corner man.
Oh, okay.
And
I did notice that.
They're in the same division too, which is interesting. So I don't know how that's going to work out between the two of them if one of them gets a title shot.
That would be interesting. That's trained together. No, you got to fight me. I'm the champ. Bye. Yeah, I'm not gonna be looking for them either, just because there wasn't really anything impressive. If they're on the card, I'm gonna watch them, but I'm not hyped up to see these 2 fight again. I mean, not saying there's anything bad about their fight. They both did a good job against each other. It was nothing to impress me from a fan's perspective. I do definitely think as time goes on, Vienna definitely needs a better striking coach, because I think she's got good ground control, because she did attempt that armbar. She did have a takedown.
Going into the fight, she had submissions. She had finishes, and most of them were submissions.
Yeah, I think she needs to really work on that stand-up game, because she had an awkward stance.
She did.
Left arm down, right arm cocked.
She had what are you trying to do? Like a weird karate stance where she stood long ways.
I don't know. She kind of looked, to be honest, she looked like one of those people that takes off their shirt and wants to fight you in the street. Come on,
Let's go, bro.
Let's go, bro.
Definitely, she you can tell she went from one base of martial arts. She's learning the other as she's going on.
Nothing bad, but she definitely needs to develop it.
Yeah, for 100% sure. She looked a little big for a strawweight. She might even think about going to flyweight if strawweight doesn't work out for her. But I'm not her coach or anything.
Yeah. Or in her camp.
Yeah.
Or getting paid by her.
Yeah, so don't listen to me.
She doesn't listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I highly doubt she's like, oh shit, the guy on the J podcast is saying this right now. I should probably listen to him. But definitely, she I think she's a little big for it. For that, I don't know how her weight cut or anything, but she's pretty tall for a strawweight. And definitely, she could possibly go up if she wanted to and stay there. It just depends on what she wants to do, but I think in the future, she might go up. Because there was definitely a size advantage between the two. Viana was good, half a foot taller than...
Yeah, she definitely had the height advantage and the reach advantage. She just didn't use it.
Yeah, she needs to work on a couple of things. Put it all together. She'll get it.
The fight after that, though, was always a fun fight to watch whenever Cub Swanson is involved. This one does happen a little fast. It's Renato Moicano. I did say that wrong last time. I forgot about that. R is an H in Brazilian. Portuguese.
Yeah, Portuguese.
Yeah, so Cub Swanson versus Renato Moicano. It was the little scuffles they had leading up to Cub getting dropped, where kind of Cub looked like he was just winging them. He was coming from downtown with some of those punches. I think he hit Renato once or twice and kind of gave Cub a little confidence to put himself in a position to get dropped, honestly. Cub got up, or Renato throws a really good straight left, and it's just perfectly placed. There's no other way to put it. It was perfectly placed right on the mouthpiece. Bam! So Cub falls to the ground, but on the slow motion that they showed leading into it, because you know it's the shot that starts the end of it. Cub's eyes were locked on him the whole time, and he kind of had a smile. So he knew he got hit, and he was ready for him, but he wasn't 100% ready. So Renato came in when he fell on him. They kind of get up, they go to the cage, and then they go back to the ground, and then Renato ends up on top, Cub's on bottom, and he gets put in a submission, and that's all there was to it.
It's interesting that this happened to Cub, because I think the last couple times Cubs lost were all by guillotine or rear naked choke. So it seems like he
fought Frankie, did he?
No, he fought
I know Ortega submitted him, but he fought Frankie too recently. Did Frankie put him down with a KO or TKO, or was it a submission?
Let me pull up his record.
Yeah, Cub seems to have a problem with the takedown defense or the submission defense. So
it went to decision with Frankie.
Okay.
And Ortega choked him out before that, and then his loss before that was against Holloway, which he got in the guillotine. Then Frankie neck cranked him.
Yeah, so I guess the Frankie one I got mixed up.
He's got a few losses submissions, and
I think all of his losses are by submission.
He got one TKO one where he took a halation knee from Aldo there.
Well, but yeah, it's Aldo.
Yeah, Frankie. I'm not saying he's got a problem with submissions, because he's obviously a really good Cub. Sorry, Cub's got a problem with submissions, but he's a really good fighter in general, and I think he tends to rush in, and he gets caught. Is what the problem is. Like, you think he puts himself in a deep water a lot of times, and he gets caught with different things. Like he thought he was okay with Ortega. And Ortega, he gave him just a little bit of an opportunity, and Ortega took it. And it just happened to be this guy with a hellacious submission.
Yeah, Ortega is no joke.
Same thing with Holloway. He gave Holloway, an inch. Holloway took the whole mile. But that's definitely one thing that Frankie...
Cub.
I don't know why I keep saying Frankie. Cub, it happens to him a few times, where I think Cub's a very emotional fighter. And if you put him in hot water and he thinks he's confident in hot water, it could backfire on him. It also doesn't help that his last couple fights that he fought, he lost. And maybe that's something psychologically, but I doubt it. Definitely a guy that, if he's fighting, watch him. Cub's a very entertaining guy to watch, regardless of the situation. But there's definitely a line where you can see that if he's not on a hot streak, they put him against these fighters that are like way different caliber, or guys that are like on a 2, 3, 4 fight win streak. He's kind of like the measuring stick of the featherweight.
He's number 5. Well, he might have dropped now that he fought Renato and lost, but he was at number 5. He's a gatekeeper, honestly, if you think about it. I think he's a gatekeeper to the top 10, because if you can get past Cub, you should be able to fight on the same level as any of the top 10 guys, which is Frankie, which is Holloway, which is Aldo, all those guys.
I think if you look at that division, like Cub's sort of, he's the measuring stick to get in the top 10 or 5 or whatever. And then if you can get past Frankie, then you can get in the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to look at it too.
Sure. I always thought Frankie was the higher caliber fighter in any division that he was in. So I always put him in the top 3, and if you can get past him, normally you're good enough to get a title shot.
Yeah, that fight Although it was short, it ended at like 4.5 minutes into the first round. I definitely wanted it to go the distance and watch Cub and really test Moicano out, but it is what it is. And Cub lives to fight another day in it, but there is the 3 losses now in a row. So what are we going to see next from him? Is it going to be the UFC going to let him go? I don't think so, because he just signed that new contract with them. We don't know the details of it yet, but
it would be stupid to let Cub go just because he's besides being a great fighter, he's a fan favorite.
He's a company man. He shows up whenever you want him to.
He's a draw. He's somebody that is going to be there.
In California.
Yeah.
He's a really good draw for you in California.
He's got SoCal on his back.
Yeah.
He's a big draw, and I think it would be stupid to let him go, but the UFC's did some stupid things before. Roy McDonald is in Bellator right now, which is the stupidest fucking thing they've did in recent time, I would believe.
I would love to see him come back and go for the strap right away.
That would be interesting.
I mean, I think he went over there.
Well, he beat Woodley.
Yeah, exactly.
He's beaten Woodley before. And, that was a different Woodley than currently, but even then, I still think he could probably edge out something between the two. And, Bellator, I think, is coming up, but that was the stupidest decision recently that I can think of the UFC's done. That was like, why would you let him go? So I don't think they would let Cub go anytime soon. But then again,
I think if you let him go, you lose some money anyways, because he does draw a big SoCal crowd. Like, he gets pay-per-view buys just for the fact that California Kid ain't there no more, so gotta have your other California draw.
Well, he trains. He's good friends with TJ, and he's a training partner with him.
Oh.
And they're in the same gym and everything. And I think that might be one of the reasons he's on the card here. But then again, they did this one in California, so be there. But I don't see them letting go Swanson anytime soon just because he lost 3.
Yeah, I hope not. UFC in their decision-making process sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, after that one, though, we get this nice little
this is the
countdown moment while we wait, because everybody expected that fight to go longer, so we had to burn some time on the TV. But this was the first rematch of the main card. So
this fight was this is the talked about fight for the hardcore fans of UFC or just MMA in general, because if you watch the fight, Cejudo and Johnson, Cejudo won. He beat Johnson. That was supposed to be his 13th title defense, 13th, 14th.
I think it would have been the 14th because he beat the record.
Yeah. Well, no, he would tie the record with GSP then.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it was supposed to be a consecutive title defense, which it was a consecutive title defense, but it was supposed to be. Everyone going into it thought Johnson was going to win. He's put in a very impressive streak going into it, and
I still don't think he lost.
It went to decision, and if you look at it's a very controversial fight.
It's a split decision. That means out of the 3 of them, one of them was the deciding factor. So I don't agree with it. It is what it is at this point. I can't tell you how depressed I was whenever they read off the dang scorecards, but
it was it's very interesting because if you watch the fight and you look at the statistics or what do they call it? The fight metric?
Yeah, fight metric.
The fight metric tells a different story than what the judges saw and what I saw. From a judge's point of view, you would look at it and say, all right, Cejudo had better control. He took him down. And when they were on the ground for the brief moments, he had top position. And it just looked like Cejudo was putting more damage on it because he had these big moments where he took him down, where he had control over everything. He wasn't really raining down anything. He mostly just had positions. He didn't try to ground and pound him much.
So, here's my thing, though.
From a judge's perspective, especially out there,
I think the judges just got wowed by that last takedown that he had.
And I think from the judge's perspective, they were like, "Oh, Cejudo won that because just, even though Johnson was doing more damage and peppering up Cejudo the whole fight, it just looked like Cejudo did a lot more damage because he was taking him down. He was holding him down. He looked like he controlled the fight more, I should say. Not really damage-wise, but he looked like he controlled the fight more. You got 5 minutes, and if it looks like you're doing a lot more than the other one, the judges would probably swing in your favor. But the fight metric says a lot different. If you look at that, Johnson was throwing a lot more. He was landing a lot more, I should say.
And he was a lot more accurate with them, too.
Yeah. And, it's a very controversial fight. I'd see them going into 3,
They better do a part 3 so DJ can get his belt back. Because I think he was robbed. As somebody who sat there and watched it, I think he was robbed. I think Cejudo had a wow moment that struck the judges more is what happened, because Johnson had no moment in that fight where everybody was just, oh my God, in the crowd, because Cejudo put him on the ground and then he rolls out of it backwards. Like, okay, he does that to him twice. On 2 takedowns, he just rolls right out of it like it wasn't shit. Another time, he just sidestepped him a little bit and pushed him away. Like, look at all these attempts that he had, but how many were successful? And what I mean by successful is, did you stay in top mount? Did you stay in control? One time, you had him turtled up. That was it. And then the end of the round, they get up. And in the last round, because honestly, I think going in the last round, they were 2-2. Okay? Both of you won 2 rounds. And the last round, I think, is what swayed a lot of people in Cejudo, especially the judges, because he had more control. He did get him to the ground at one point, and he had the control for longer. And I think that's the only thing. And he had, 3 takedowns that landed out of 10? Or something like that?
He had 4 or something like that. Yeah, but it wasn't a significant amount.
There was nothing to me that really showed that Cejudo dominated the champ.
Yeah.
Because he didn't dominate him. I think he just outpointed him. Is really what it was.
Yeah,
he just outpointed him.
I think
which doesn't count with takedowns, I don't think, in my opinion.
I think it just came down to that razor decision. It probably swayed the judges a little more.
I think Dana lined some pockets.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, Dana lined some pockets because he was tired of DJ shit.
Fuck this dude. I don't want to give him another belt.
Yeah, gotta pay for those things every time.
Jesus. I wonder how much he's paying to polish those fucking things.
Yeah, man. I think Dana lined some pockets, and that's what happened right there.
That's what it was.
Cejudo got it.
That was an interesting decision, or interesting fight. Definitely, if you're a fan, I imagine you probably watched it from beginning to end. But
I mean, especially if you're waiting for the main event, you kind of have to.
Yeah,
But one thing, Johnson did a really good job at evading almost everything Cejudo threw and attempted. So, yeah, there were some takedowns that were grabbed or that were successful, but he rolls out of them. He pretty much gets away from every punch he throws. He doesn't really take that many punches. There's one flurry where he got his back up against the cage, and so Cejudo laid, I think, a left hook, a right, and then as DJ was getting out of it, like getting away from him, he like popped him in the back of the head and it kind of shook his head around a little bit, but it never really fazed him. So Cejudo did call out TJ at the end, or whoever moves up, which happens to be, TJ at this point, but saying, yeah, he'll go up and fight whoever wins the main card, and it's like, I don't think that's the move he wants to make, really.
Did you listen to the post fight?
No, but I'll let you tell me about that in a second. I don't think that's the fight he wants to take, because he might be able to put on more mass, but you couldn't even really do a whole lot of damage to somebody in your own weight class with your striking ability. You're going to have to rely on that gold medal Olympic medal that you had, which you don't have anymore because it burned up in your house in the sand. Fires.
Yeah. It's a rough one for him to move up. He did say, I thought this was interesting, that he wants to be a triple champ opposed to a double champ.
Well, but if he gets another belt, he technically is, because he does have the gold medal. So,
well, he wants 3 titles, is what I hear, and
you can't hold up the division that long. It means you have to take 3 title fights back to back before you defend your own. Come on.
That's a big order for such a small guy.
That's what, 125, 135, and 145?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, 130. No, 135, 145. Right?
Yeah, because he's got 125. So So you'd have to go up to TJ.
Yeah, have to go with
Who's
TJ.
135. Who's got 145?
That's that's the Connor the whole shit show in that division. You know? Oh no, that's Mayweather or Holloway. Yeah, that's Holloway.
I thought he was 155. Is that the 155?
That's 155.
Yeah. So who's got 140? Or did they jump to 40s?
It's
I gotta get these belts.
35.
Sorry, guys.
35, 45, 55. Because they do the 10 ones, right?
Yeah, and then they skipped 65 for some reason.
Oh, that's a weird reason. But yeah, like he wants to go up in that weight. That's a big jump for anybody to go up like that. And unless you're talking like boxing, where you can go up like 5
weight
divisions
in one 10-pound weight stretch.
Yeah, I weighed 10 pounds extra. I go up 30 weight. You know, it's a whole different thing. You know.
Yeah, that fight was kind of disappointing because of the judges' decisions on that. I really think DJ got screwed out of his next title defense, but it is what it is, and hopefully they do the rubber match because they're both 1-1, and I think DJ deserves it. If nothing else, being the longest reigning champ that's ever going to be in that division,
he's going to get a
most
rematch,
likely, and the fact that he beat him the first time in the first round,
120,
so handedly.
Yeah, 125, 135, 145.
Yeah, okay.
So 145. That's that's Holloway. So
Well, yeah, I'll get these belt classes memorized eventually.
we'll have a little poster we'll put up here. And
Yeah.
then we can just kind of glance over.
A whiteboard.
Little whiteboard.
Yeah. We'll just get everybody's names on magnets and moving them around.
That little bracket going.
Yeah.
Look like we're looking.
Oh, for every division, so I'm going to have 10 of them up here.
We look like we have March Madness brackets going.
Oh, God. But heading into the main fight of the night, the one that was hyped for so many months, and I think it's almost a year now, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, it would be. Well, see, they fought in end of last year, right?
Yeah. And it's August, so we're pushing
about a year. You know,
Almost
going
a
back and forth. Well, Cody took a lot of time off because he hurt his back,
quotes.
quote unquote.
Yeah.
You think that's bullshit?
No, I don't think it's bullshit. I just think he had a lot. I think he took off more time before that last fight that he should have. I think that was one.
Well, he hurt his back. I think he slipped a disc or it was something spinal. I know that. And he had to take that time off because I think he had a surgery on it. But that was a very interesting fight going into it. Of course, they try to build up as the rivalry fight because that's the story, you know, between the two. And I didn't pick anybody in that fight, even on my my fantasy pick.
This is why I lost.
This is the losing battle for you. I didn't want to pick anybody. I knew you would pick Cody because you're a big Cody fan.
Well,
And
I like Cody's style, and I like what he brings into the arena. I like the mentality that he has when he's fighting, and I like the show he put on his run to the belt.
yeah.
I mean, going forward, I want to see him develop. As of right now, I think he did pretty good. I have nothing because
It was first round, right?
yeah, it was first round, man. I don't even think they made it to like the 3-minute mark.
Yeah, first round, just like I thought would happen, Cody overextended. Dillashaw took advantage, and that was pretty much the end of the fight.
They
Did he knock him down once or twice?
All right, so they come together. They throw bones at each other. They both slip. Then they come at each other again. And Cody lands. Cody lands one or two really good shots that were easily felt by Dillashaw because his face does show it today.
Well, I think what
But
the main story...
Cody got hit.
Yeah, Cody got hit.
Cody got hit. And he got a little phased, so he backed up a little bit. And I think TJ realized it. And he started throwing some. He got Garbrandt to go highly defensive, and Garbrandt just started winging them bombs in there. But that was pretty much all she wrote at that point, because once he started winging them in there, his technique kind of went out the window, and TJ just found every opening. Now the camera angles got a little funky, because where the cameraman, the primary camera that they showed was kind of like showing TJ's back more, so we couldn't get a good shot, during the initial play. But he clocked him once or twice, and it put Cody into la la land. The boy was, the second time they clinched, or no, they didn't clinch. Cody did grab him, and he was trying to, TJ was trying to hammer fist him, but they worked over the cage and he got up. But when he got up, Dillashaw lands, I think it was a left, and it kind of put Cody out. He was out on his feet whenever the ref stepped in.
Yeah.
'Cause he was he had nothing, man.
But
Lights were out.
Between the two of them, I think Dillashaw's just better put together at this point.
At this point, yes.
Cody, he has a ton of potential, but he's very emotional when he gets in there. And the whole deal between him and Dillashaw, the rivalry fight, everybody puts it together for it. That definitely, it's definitely bad for him in that division because it's always going to be there. And now he's not going to get another title shot unless
the belt changes.
Unless the belt changes. So if I was Cody, at that point, reassess what exactly you want if you want to stay in that division. But I would say maybe think about looking up, going up to 145. It's not that big of a jump for him. He's a big dude. And it would probably be interesting to see him go up.
Well, I don't know. If Dillashaw can drop him at 135 or 145, or that's just as accurate, could probably put him down a little bit quicker.
Maybe. But there's chances he won't be that much or that emotional with it. There's a chance that he can practice more on moving and staying out of there. It'd be a different game for him, is what I'm saying, at a different weight class, like anybody else. But it'd definitely be something that I would like to see him go up, Like, say he goes up and then, he does one or two fights there. Say Holloway, he doesn't have the belt anymore. Maybe he can't do it and he makes a comeback. Him and Holloway would be an interesting fight.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if DJ or TJ plans on defending the belt in the weight class and not moving around, because he talked about there was the big talk about TJ DJ for a while, the super fight. If he's going to stay in the division, I want to see the first defense go to Dominic Cruz. I want to see it go to Cruz just because Cruz won the belt by decision in a fight that I think TJ won, which TJ should have still had that belt. And I think that would be this would be the perfect time for TJ to shut up all naysayers like myself, to the point where, we really can't say much about him. You may have lost that first fight by decision, but if you go in there and you hands down beat him this time, you set up a third, which I don't think Dominic would do a third, but you shut up all the naysayers. Look, I beat this guy and it wasn't a fluke because I just went into the rematch with him and I beat him in the first round, and then now I just beat the guy who won to me based off a decision. Now I beat you again. So, who else is in here that I can clean out? Nobody.
Say he goes on and he Cruz is not, made out of glass and he heals up again, because it seems like every time he comes back, he hurts himself harder and harder.
Yeah.
But say he comes back and they're like, all right, they're going to fight. And Cruz goes out there. They're going to build it up as, okay, this is the real belt. Technically the real belt's been unified because Dominic, he lost to Cody. Right? And that's the real belt. But prior to that, TJ didn't beat anybody to get that belt. He beat Renan Barão for it.
Right.
But that wasn't the belt holder at the time. And when TJ fought Cruz for it, Cruz edged out the decision, which is a very controversial fight with a lot of people. Me included. I thought TJ definitely won that one. That's a rough one to decide against him. Say they fight. That whole card, that's going to be built up as, all right, so you have the best, one of the best bantamweights of all time versus the current best bantamweight. And you can build that up. You can build it up as a rematch. That'd be a good card to see. I would like to see that one. That's definitely one that going into, I'd pay to watch that one just to see exactly how it is. I don't know how Cruz would fare after the loss to Cody was.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him since. Maybe Cody hit him hard enough to take that fucking beard off him, which was weird. I don't know why he had that one. That looked weird.
Training camp, man. You don't have time to shave. Got to get in there, hit that grind, boy.
Maybe he was believing in the UFC curse. You know how they have it on Embedded, where if you get a haircut on Embedded, you lose. Like that was the thing.
Is that really?
Yeah, it was on the subreddit. But the weird part about it is Cejudo got a haircut on there, but he didn't have because normally it's they give a full buzz cut or something, and it's a permanent change, but he just got a couple he got it trimmed up. So maybe that's the key. Don't get it
don't get it completely taken up.
Yeah, just trim it up. Maybe that's it'd be interesting to see the rematch. I like to see that one again, because that would shut up a lot of people who were like, riding Cruz's dick about him being the greatest and all that shit.
Dillashaw actually said that about Garbrandt. He thinks Garbrandt has technical problems that he needs to fix. And one of the comments he said was, "I really don't believe he's got a chin. Like he plays a dangerous game. He likes to get in there and he likes to slug it, but he leaves himself exposed. I don't really necessarily think it's
Well, every time he's lost, even out of the UFC, has been from a KO, has been from somebody connecting. And his run up to the belt was all first rounders. I don't think he really went to the decision, and he was very aggressive and he catch people. So maybe he's got a point if that's the case, because we don't know what happened in sparring. We don't know if he's been dropped in sparring before. I imagine at this point, yeah, he probably has, because at some point, even in sparring, you're gonna get caught. So maybe he's got a point with it. We just seeing little glimpses of it.
And you really don't know what happened to him during training camp. He could have easily taken some shots during training camp and just hid the fact before he came in, which I really, really don't. I hope that wasn't the case.
It's possible. A lot of the fighters do that. Even like Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin got knocked out twice before he fought Anderson Silva in that camp, and he definitely shouldn't have taken that fight. But that's UFC when it was like, oh, I gotta get paid UFC, which still it happens today. But if that is the case, if Cody was hurt going into it, you kind of see maybe you probably shouldn't be fighting like that. It'd be interesting if really can't take a punch, anymore, especially that weight. Maybe he should go down. He said he can go down. It'd be interesting to see how he fares there if he can make the weight.
Yeah.
He's a big dude though, which is interesting, and I don't know. He's a former champ. If he goes down, they'll probably give him a number 2, number 3.
There's 2 competitors for TJ in his current division. That's obviously the Dominic fight we were talking about. Marlon Moraes.
Yeah.
Magic Marlon Moraes. He's the guy that kneed Aljamain Sterling and made him like dab as he went down.
You see the babyface guy?
Yeah.
The one that looks like a kid?
Yeah. Like that guy has been really good running up to it. I think he's going to be, if Dominic doesn't get it, if they're not trying to get money out of it and just get Dominic in there, Marlon Magic Moraes, I think is the way to go, because everybody else in the division right now, I'm not really all entertained by.
Yeah, not really. It'd definitely be the next one. If it's not the money fight, it would be one to see what, like, the measuring stick of the division. It'd see who's out there, because at that point, that division from pretty much bantamweight down, just bantamweight, strawweight, it's kind of played out right now. Strawweight has a new champ, so it's kind of like a refreshing thing right now. But bantamweight's a little played out because TJ fought, I think, damn near anybody in that division to his run to the belt, and while he was there, if he didn't fight him there, he fought him during his 2-fight stint as not the champion.
Right.
So he has that. So why not explore other people there that deserve more of a chance, the newer people?
I mean, other than that, that's the main card. That's the prelims. So
that was,
they got about wraps all of the action up on August 4th.
That was 227.
That was UFC 227 and review, retrospect, whatever you want to call it.
The day before that, they had the UFC press conference. Did you read anything about that?
I didn't really get to see anything. I did see the big announcement at the end that made
We'll get into that.
Diaz march off stage.
So basically, going in there, it's the 25th anniversary one. They do it every 25 years. No, they do it once a year where it's like the big one where they're like, this is all the fights for the rest of the year, the ones they have scheduled and all that. And it's pretty fairly decent cards that are coming up. We got 228's the next one. Before that, we got a fight night. So we got a fight night, which is the one they've already announced was the Gagey Vic card, which is fairly decent. That's a good way to keep the momentum going. In September, you got the 228. They made it finally official. Woodley versus Till. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, and that one's local too.
That is a very local one.
I can't wait to see that because
that one's here in
I haven't
Dallas.
seen Woodley fight in a while. His last 2 or 3 fights have been kind of boring, and I would like Darren Till's an exciting fighter. I would like to see him get in there and mix it up with somebody who is the champ, who's had boring fights, and kind of remind people why he is the champ.
I thought it was interesting during the face-off between the two because you really get to see the size difference of Till. Given Till didn't make weight the last one, but that was
huge.
Given Till didn't make the weight the last one, but that's because he had the medical emergency. He couldn't finish cutting the weight. I think he missed weight maybe one time before that, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can make the weight.
Right.
But if he does, the size difference between them, because Till's taller, obviously, even like mass between them, Till's pretty big compared to Woodley. It's going to be interesting to see how Woodley gets gets in there and gets on the inside and goes for it. Maybe it comes down to just the game plan, like him and Wonder Boy had. Even I'm pretty sure Wonder Boy won that second fight in my opinion, or was it the first fight? It was one of the fights. I know he definitely won one of the fights in my opinion. I can't remember which one it was.
The second one.
The one without the 10-second fury at the end.
I think it was the second one.
Was it? All right, so it was the first. I'll check it out later. One of the fights I thought Wonder Boy.
You say you think Wonder Boy won, right?
Yeah.
I think that might have been the first one. Yeah, that would have been
Yeah,
the first one.
the first one.
Because the second one, they were just they were in a duel the whole time, just kind of going around the corner after each other.
Yeah.
They just kind of paced around each other. Come on.
Little Mexican standoff in the ring the entire time.
You hit first. No, you swing. No, you swing.
Swing, bro. You swing first. No, you swing first. Yeah, that one's gonna be pretty good. That's also got the flyweight strap on there too. The women's flyweight. That's Valentina versus Nico Montano. I can never say her name.
Montano. I know you're talking about Nico Montano.
It's the flyweight one. That's gonna be pretty decent. I like that one. That's definitely gonna be one that I'm gonna watch, especially because it's local. I'm gonna try to go to everything because why not? See, after that we got a fight night. That is Mark Hunt versus, honestly, I don't know how to say his fucking
Brock
name.
Lesnar. It's not that hard.
No, not that. That's an old one, man.
Oleski Olenek.
It's a Russian dude. Let's leave it at that.
Oleski Olenek. Is that the Russia card?
It's the Eastern European. I don't think it's the Russian card. Yeah, that is the Russian card. Moscow. And then we have another fight night after that. This one's gonna be pretty interesting. I'm looking forward more to this one than any other one. That's the Teixeira Manuel one.
Glover Teixeira versus Jimmy Manuwa.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm interested in that one. I just don't know. Glover Teixeira is just not somebody I enjoy watching.
Yeah,
he's not surprising. Jimmy Manuwa maybe because I think he's got a promising future in that division, but I don't think he stands up against some of the other heavyweights like Stipe.
This one is the one to hold you over, because the next card is the big card, the one they announced at the end of
October?
25th. This is UFC 229. This is the one we
October
inadvertently hyped last episode. We talked about if they did it. Unfortunately, it's not in Moscow. I
think it's not just unfortunately. I think it's fortunately.
Fortunately for McGregor, it's not in Moscow.
I need to hold it into neutral territory. By the way, if you're taking notes, you never bet on a Brazilian in Brazil, or you never bet against a Brazilian in Brazil, because
or an English dude in England.
Because Hendo won that fight.
Hendo did win that fight.
And everybody who wins against a Brazilian and goes to decision loses.
In Brazil, you have to finish, otherwise you lost.
Unless it's a one-sided ass whooping the whole way.
No. There's been a few times where I've watched fight from Brazil, like in Pride, where you're like, that dude obviously won that fight, and Brazilian judges are like, no.
He didn't put him down.
There wasn't one submission attempt that entire fight. They didn't go to the ground.
There was no ground game, so he doesn't win. What?
It's kind of like Pride when, was it Sakuraba versus Henzo? I think it was Henzo or Hickson. No, it wasn't Hickson. It was one of the Gracies. And they went to the fight, and the original rule was like 10-minute rounds. And then after the 10 minutes was up, Carlos Gracie changed it. And grandfather, he changed it. He's like, we'll just keep going. And so Sakura was like, okay. And they went to it. It was Hickson, I think. No, Henzo. It was Henzo. And they changed it, and I was like, we'll just keep going until one of us wins. And Henzo quit because they were like, we can keep going, but fuck, I'm tired. They changed the rules. They're tricky little people.
Exactly.
You gotta watch out for that. Some of them organizations.
Organizations. I know what you mean. Countries. Nationalities.
So
this guy.
UFC 228 is the big one. It's
that's next month. That's
229, sorry. UFC 229 is the one we're talking about. This is the biggest fight in UFC, in my opinion. It's going to be one of the biggest ones because it draws in the casual people. It draws in the hardcore fans. It's a big fucking draw. This is going to outdo 200 or 100, which I think is the biggest draw.
I think 200 was.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think 200.
If Brock's involved, it tends to do a lot of...
Well, Brock was going to be involved, but it ended up being the steroid shenanigans. No, that was the John Jones fiasco.
That was John Jones. Yeah. So I'm not sure which one was the biggest. I think it was 100 because that was the big one, you know. But this is going to be the biggest UFC event.
I don't think they should put Brock and Conor on the same card because you waste.
They're not going to put it on the card.
No. I'm just saying. Just because you mentioned Brock and we know what cards we're about to talk about, but I don't think they should ever put those two guys on the same card because you miss out on extended money making. Other than if you throw them all on one, you may have like a 300 million buy, but why? Whenever you can do a 200 here and a 200 here, you get 400, right?
Yeah.
So this one, we've already said the name. We've already said one name.
I'm gonna stop hyping it. It's Conor Khabib or Khabib Conor, depending on which one you side with.
It'll be Khabib versus Conor because Khabib is the champ right now.
But I don't know. Conor's a bigger name, so I don't know how they're gonna title that. Maybe I haven't seen the posters for it.
I think on the posters it'll still be Khabib versus Conor.
Either way, this isn't
a Jones.
The big fight we got.
DC fiasco
until was it November or October?
That one should be in October.
We got until October to go over this extensively.
I'm not putting any money in this basket. I'm not investing in this fight at all. Khabib has a history of pulling out fights due to weight or injury.
Dollars being thrown at you.
Yeah, dollars being thrown at you. No, he still fought that night.
He did.
Against somebody who probably shouldn't have been there for the belt defense. Anyways.
Definitely not.
Whatever. I don't put any investment into it until I see them both walking down to the cage to get into the cage. I'm like, okay, this is really happening.
I have learned my lesson over the last couple of years with the UFC. If they're not in the cage, I'm not gonna put my money in it. Like I'm not gonna go. Okay, I'm like I want to see the fight. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna be super excited till they're in the cage, the door's closed, and Herb Dean goes, "Let's do this."
I'm gonna be optimistically pessimistic this whole time. I'm gonna hope like hell, but I'm gonna be like, nah, it's not. We don't know, guys.
It's happened way too many times in recent memory. It happened with John Jones twice. It happened with Tony Ferguson
5 times. With him and Khabib have been trying.
It happened with Khabib and Tony 5 different times. The whole fiasco at the New York card with Conor, who started all that.
By the way, Conor, you ruined that for me. Okay, you ruined that whole card for me.
Tony ruined it by tripping over a damn cord. All right, Tony messed up his knee. You can't really prevent that, but
you can't get the cords off the ground.
But yeah, what the hell, Fox? he ruined that because it was one of those things where you're like, damn, I really wanted to watch that one.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see who else is on that card. I mean, they're gonna have to have a really good main event or a really good main card leading up to that because obviously Conor and Khabib are gonna sell it. Just off name alone, but
no, Conor's gonna sell that one off name alone.
That Khabib, fight, people have been wanting to see.
No, hardcore fans.
Years.
Hardcore fans have been wanting to see it for fucking years now. But Conor's gonna sell it to the casual guy, the guy that you're trying to watch the fights of the thing, and he's at the end of the bar going ape shit over Conor, and he went and actually bought a fucking fight kit.
Yeah,
that guy is gonna come out to watch. It's like the same guys who come out to watch Brock.
They get up whenever Brock wins and there's still 3 fights left and they get up and walk out and like, okay, now the real guys are left here watching the rest of the fight.
The bros are gone, those guys who specifically drink whatever he's drinking.
I take all the endorsements.
I want 4 Jaeger bombs and Modelo Especial.
Why? Because Stipe drinks Modelo, or he's sponsored by him. So yeah, that's what I'm drinking.
Yeah. Those guys.
Things are nasty, by the way. I tried that because of Stipe, and I'm not doing it again.
He's not right on all his decisions, you can't just follow him, man.
So yeah, that's some of the big news. That is the biggest news to come out of that. However, in that same moment when they rolled the clip of these two guys in that press conference, Nate or Nick? I forget.
Nate.
That was Nate.
Yeah.
Okay, I get them
Nate's
mixed
the one
up.
that's still fighting. Nick's the older brother.
Yeah, I get them mixed up just because you can't name your kids with the same first letter. We have this problem ourselves.
Yeah.
All right, so you get them mixed up.
I've had family members go down the list of J's. It's a good seven different.
Yeah, there's
J
a
names.
bunch of J's in my family.
And I've had older family members go down the whole list before, so I get it. I understand.
Nate got up and stormed out once they started that clip, and he's kind of on the fence about participating in his fight with Dustin Poirier,
which would be interesting. I would like to watch that one.
Dustin just fought.
Yeah.
And he was there, and you can see him. He was still a little banged up from his fight, but he's like, I don't know what's happening, but the fight's still going to happen, so far as I know.
Well, I don't think they've signed it yet. I think they've announced it, but I don't think they've signed the contract yet.
They had to have announced, or they had to have signed it
Because-
for him to be sitting on stage.
Because Nick said he hadn't finished signing it, Nate said he hadn't finished signing it, and Dustin said the same thing. He hadn't finished signing the thing, so maybe it's not finalized yet, but they've announced it, and that would be an interesting fight between the two of them. Nate, we haven't seen him fight since he fought Connor last, so it'd be interesting to see how he gets back in there.
Nate recently said one of the reasons he hasn't been able to fight, or he hasn't fought and nobody said anything, and he's under an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement, because he's been in a lawsuit with the UFC. So that's why he can't. That's why he hasn't fought. Or that's why he's been inactive.
Yeah,
so.
that was interesting because no one reported on that.
Yeah, nobody.
at all.
Well, I mean, that's a private matter. If nobody says anything and it's an NDA, you can't,
Yeah.
because you lose your case right out the door.
Yeah, it's interesting how that happened, and there was no leaks about it, no nothing.
One of the few things the UFC has kept a lid on,
Which
their
is
lawsuits against them.
Very interesting because they can't keep the lid on shit. Like 2 years ago, we're like, why is Brock Lesnar in the drug testing pool? Well, we don't know, not at all. And he shows up at 200. You know?
Yeah,
You're
Gio or
oh wow, he gets a pass in January and he shows up in was it like July, whatever. Like, oh yeah, we don't know who he's fighting, but he might not be fighting. Wink, wink. They can't keep a lid on shit, but they managed to keep a lid on the legal stuff.
Yeah, I think it's also some of the fighters getting out there and actually putting the business out there. There's some other good fights coming on that. Who did Lionheart get put up against? He got Anthony Smith. He got put up. Anthony the Lionheart Smith got put up against No Time.
No.
Yeah.
Was it No Time?
Yeah, because he's number 2. I remember the card. He got put up against number 2, which is No Time.
Did he?
Yep. Which is going to be good because they're both lightweights or light heavyweights.
Okay.
So that's going to be an interesting one because No Time, he's got hammers, man, for fist. So
It'd be interesting to see how it goes.
I don't know. I think Anthony Smith's going to outwork him because all he's got to do really is just wrestle him a little. DC proved that.
True.
All you got to do is wrestle him a little bit and sprawl him out crucifix.
Well, it also depends on how how he improved from the last one. I don't think he'll make a giant leap as far as ground game goes, but
I don't think so either.
you never know. He might be able to come in and just crack him once or twice and be done with it. Might pull Buster Douglas and hit him with a left, and then the count guy goes a couple minutes short. You never know. It could be some tomfoolery happening.
So I don't know if you saw this, but this came out today.
Which is
GSP says he's interested in the winner of Khabib and Conor.
I'm not.
Like he will make the drop to 155.
I'm not going to make any guarantees with that because he also said earlier this week he's interested in fighting Anderson Silva. But at this point,
I don't know. I think him fighting Silva would just be kind of like a legacy thing. Like, hey,
It would.
we were both in the prime then. We should go ahead and do it now before we're both completely too old to fight. I think this would be a better fight for him monetarily and legacy-wise because GSP is a name for guys that got into it 10 years ago. Conor and Khabib are guys who got into it 4 or 5 years ago.
It's interesting. Again, I'm not going. This is one of the things. Like, I'm not going to say it's going to happen until they announced it.
Yeah.
And it's the fight week, and they're like doing the run up to the thing, and they're walking down to the fucking octagon. But it would be interesting to see it happen. I think GSP versus Khabib would be interesting, and I think GSP versus Conor would be interesting. GSP versus Khabib would be great because Khabib, he's a big fan of GSP. That was his guy growing up, and he looks up to him. And it'd be interesting to see how his style fares against GSP. Him versus Khabib, or versus Conor, that would be interesting just because that's going to bring a lot of people in for it. And it's going to be as if one like a generation passing a torch. It'll be kind of like that. That's how they're going to view it. I'm not going to put too many eggs in that basket because GSP took a lot of time off, came back, then he dropped the belt. A lot of questioning on like whether he wants to fight.
Yeah, but I mean, the UFC doesn't care about divisional rankings.
We
and
know
that stuff anymore. It's all about money, money, money.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that I'm not gonna put too much interest into it until they're like, yeah, we got contracts and they signed them and you have to be here on this date and you are here and we're walking down to the thing, the gate's closed, the bells ring. All right, I can take bets now.
I did see that DJ Torres LCL broke foot whenever he was fighting Henry. So yeah, that was confirmed.
Yeah, that thing looked like a bunch of hot dogs you threw in the microwave.
Yeah,
and they just kind of bump up a little bit. Looked like that. It was rough.
That would explain some of the takedowns right at the end, because he might have got a little squarely on his balance and unable to hold him off. But again, I think BJ won that. This is going to be another Hendo thing for me. Hendo won that last fight. So I'll put that out there.
He did. You can't deny that. I mean, if you watch the fight again, you could squeeze out one, if you really want to explain it. But we all kind of knew what happened. And Dan Anderson is was the middleweight champion prior to retiring.
The only other thing I saw that I wanted to mention was Stylebender, Israel Adesanya.
Oh, him and Brunson.
Him and Derek Brunson just happened, air quotes, to be at the same bar, and they were yelling at each other, talking shit at each other from across the bar. And they got it on their Snapchat or Instagram or one of those. I don't know. But they both have the video of them looking at the other person, yelling back and forth at each other. And the hostess, probably the waitress, walked up to Israel and was talking to him about, something. And then Israel looked over like, hey, Brunson, bring it down. So I'm guessing they were about to get kicked out of the bar or being asked to leave if they didn't stop. So, which is funny because how often does this actually happen that we get to see? I thought that was pretty funny for me. I was like, hey, if that fight happens, I think Israel's got it, though.
Yeah, I think if it stands up, if it's striking, then definitely Israel's got an advantage when it comes to it. That's one I'm definitely going to watch, because at the press conference, even at the 25th anniversary press conference, they talked shit to each other for a good, maybe 5-6 minutes or so. It was a good back and forth between the two, and that's definitely one that it's going to be interesting to see the follow up to it, like when they do finally fight, because that's going to be a lot of shit talking between them. They both like to talk shit.
I mean, the only other one I was looking forward to, just because they're both entertaining, is Cowboy and Mike Perry.
Cowboy and Mike, they got a lot of respect of each other. They were teammates. Cowboy recently left. He's somewhere else now. I don't know. Maybe he started his own camp because he's got that ranch, which is the coolest name ever. It's the Bad Motherfucking Ranch. All right, that's, if you're gonna name a ranch something, you name it that. And him and Mike are they're former teammates. I'm pretty sure him and Mike were good, not really great friends, but they knew each other when they were together. And I think going forward, it's going to be interesting because Perry likes to push the pace, and Cerrone, he tends to stand back, but if he gets comfortable, you're pretty much fucked. If you don't believe me, ask Mike Brown.
Yeah.
And he's been on a fairly good tear as of recently. He lost against who did he lose against? Against somebody. I can't remember. I think it was in Thailand. He was sick prior to the fight. He almost canceled the fight because he was so sick. He has these times where if he's constantly fighting, then he gets a little bit of a win streak going, and then you can't really stop him, and then he'll hit a brick wall. And Cerrone, he has that tendency.
Leon Edwards.
Is it Leon Edwards?
Yeah, he won against Yancey, but then he lost. Before that, he lost to Till, Lawler, and Masvidal all back to back.
See.
So it was Leon who he lost to in Singapore, which ironically he won against Yancey Medeiros, which was a good fight too.
That was a good fight.
That was a really good one down in Austin.
And Cerrone's one of those guys where if he gets comfortable in the octagon, you can't really tell what he's going to do. But if you push the pace, he can't really get like a base going with him. There's no telling what might happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that one. That's going to be a good one. I'm really excited about that. Anthony Lionheart. Well, I think there's a lot of good fights coming up soon, which we'll do a much bigger recap whenever the fights get closer for them. So, or predictions out, like we've been doing.
Well, going forward, we're gonna start releasing more and more. Usually, be one Fridays going into the fights.
We haven't quite decided on the schedule yet, but we are definitely going to try to give you guys a recap like this one. And before going into it, a little bit of news and possibly, like we've been doing, just kind of giving you a run up what we think is going to happen and the cards that are coming up. So we will definitely shoot for getting you guys 2 pieces of content a week whenever there's a fight happening. Thanks everybody for listening, and see you next time.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Hook J Podcast. Hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next episode.
Sometimes you've got to do what's right for you and not do what's right for everybody else.